welcome back to the Corporate Burnouts podcast. How are you, Mandy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. What you been doing? What are you up to?
Let's see. This weekend, we had a really fun weekend. We went out of town and we went and saw Nate Bargatze. Have you seen his stand up?
I love him and I'm so jealous.
Oh my God, it was so good. It was so good. One of my sister's friends posted, and we're like, we don't have any kids this weekend. We'll go up there. And it was funny. So we are trying to figure out. Dan's like, what time is it? 6 or 7 or whatever. And it's like noon. And I look at the tickets and it's at 3 o'clock. It's a 3 o'clock comedy show. Like, we would have totally missed it if he hadn't asked at that time, because we would have looked at it at like 4 o'clock to be like, what exact
And then
time
been
do we
like,
need to
well,
be there?
it's
And we
over
would have
now.
gone all the way there and just like hung out and missed it.
Well,
But
I'm
it was
so
so
glad that
good.
you didn't miss it. Was he as good in
Yeah.
person as he is on his little TikTok snippets?
Yes, yeah. He was so good. And obviously, like, if people are that good that they have like Netflix specials,
Yeah,
they're pretty good at this,
they're up there.
So, yeah, a couple of his openers, I was like, I don't think you're funny enough to be here, to be on this stage. And I'm not sure why, to me, like a couple of them were just a little like, maybe just one of them, really.
Just didn't
But oh
land.
my gosh. Yeah, but oh, it was so good. It was really good. And the other thing that took over my weekend is the Karen Reed trial. Do you know anything about the Karen Reed trial?
Can't say that my TikTok algorithm has thrown that at me. What is
So
it?
it's the only thing that is coming up on TikTok for me, and you need to look into it. I think it's an HBO documentary, but
Okay.
everyone on TikTok, because they're retrying her right now, and it's the wildest police corruption. If our listeners have any feelings about the Karen Reed trial, put them in the comments, because it's the only thing that I care to talk about right now. So really, I need you to watch it so that we can chat
So that
about
we
it
can talk
and
about
get
it.
all
Okay,
the way
well,
into it.
we're clearly not the same. My weekend was the opposite of yours. I had a weekend with the kiddos, which was great. I had a fantastic Mother's Day. My youngest daughter made breadsticks from scratch for the first time, so that was a super good time.
That sounds so good.
Loved it. Mother's Day was wonderful. But my TikTok algorithm is not throwing the Karen Reed trial. It's the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively saga. And what is that guy's name? Perez Hilton. I
Yeah.
don't follow him. That's not something that I'm like really his gossipy stuff, but he
Yeah.
is all over my feed.
Hmm.
Like, I see
Yeah.
all of the things, and it's really it's interesting to me. I'm frustrated because I know the trial is until 2026, and I'm like, just can we get to the bottom of this? Who's the snake? I need to know. But at the same time, like, there's so much going on. Like, they've just subpoenaed Taylor Swift. She's big mad about it, which, are we shocked? They
Right. I
were
would
they
be.
were besties. I wouldn't be shocked to find out that she was, closely related to the situation. I also am not shocked to find out that she's pissed off about being drug into somebody else's drama. But
And the drama. I mean, literally, this is the only thing that anyone's talked about since last summer. Like, this all
it's
started like late last
yeah,
summer, right?
because of the movie. And I enjoyed the movie. I didn't like it as much as I wanted to be honest. I wanted to love it. I love Ryan Reynolds and I love Blake Lively. Always have. But I'll tell you, I don't know if it really is a smear campaign, but if it is, they're doing a wonderful job, because I'm looking at them way differently now when I see them on screen in interviews and all the things. I'm like, I see how this could all be real. They could be just crazy manipulative people. But it could all be absolute trash, and they could be like America's sweethearts in the way that we know and love them.
They
I
could
don't know.
be.
I
They
need
could
them to
be.
hurry up, figure it out. And the hell of it is, even once this trial's over, we'll never know what the real truth is, right? We'll just know what a judge and jury decide if it comes to
Yeah,
that.
we're
So
never gonna know. And that's what I hate about these things. And that's what I hate about the Karen Reed stuff. It's like, we're never going to know exactly what happened.
yeah.
Everyone's going to cover up, or she'll go to jail, and that won't be right. And I don't
Or
know.
it is
It
right
makes
and she's a
me,
master manipulator. Who knows? That's the
yeah,
thing, is it's like trying to get to the bottom of the truth, like, especially when you're talking about people that you don't know and your source of information is the media, TikTok at
yeah,
that. It's like, who knows? But I got to tell you, it's an entertaining rabbit hole. And every time that I see a video, and I haven't liked one of these videos. I haven't followed anyone to get this information, but TikTok just knows, like, you're really invested here. You've had a lot of screen time on Blake Lively. Let's
Yeah.
keep throwing this at you.
This is the power of TikTok, and it's why we are so passionate about social media in general. These algorithms have started to really make it possible for people to really get their business out there, get their stuff in front of the people who need to see it. Like that's something that it's not new, but anyone who hasn't jumped on board to get
Yeah.
your content in
Except
front of the right people, it's so amazing.
what's crazy to me is the constant shifting of these algorithms. Like once you learn them, once you figure it out, it's changed again. And they're looking for something new, which is fantastic, right? Like always growing, always evolving, and you have to keep up with the times, and it does keep things really interesting. But also from that perspective that you're talking about, like being in business and getting your like you can't just set it and forget it. You can't learn it one time and then expect it to take care of itself. It is a constant evolution and you got to stay on your toes. So that part of things is really fun for me. And
Yeah, and it
seeing
is
the
fun to
things that,
cycle through. Yeah, cycle through
yeah,
this Justin and Blake thing, and then, like in 2 weeks, this Karen Reed stuff won't be on there anymore, and then I'll be on Book Talk, and then I'll be on, like all these things.
yes,
Like it really
it
does
will,
cycle
yeah.
through.
Yeah, it's
I
very
love
interesting
it.
because, of course, when Taylor was on tour, everything on my feed was about the Eras tour. I was getting all the live notifications from every show for, a year more. And I loved it. I was all about it. TikTok knew that. It's so crazy to me, but I love how well it knows me. But it
Yeah,
scares the shit out of me that it knows me that well, too, where it's like,
yeah,
I didn't ask for this, but I'm here for it. So keep it
yeah.
coming.
It knows what
I
to
don't
feed
know.
you.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely. Well, that was interesting banter, but not at all what our episode is about today. So
No.
I'm excited for this one because I feel like we go really deep a lot into why things happen the way that they do, or, the burnout part of things, or the ramifications of burnout once it does happen. And today this is much lighter, much funnier. Like it's commiserating with just what life looks like in corporate, and I think it's going to be entertaining for me at the very least. So,
Yeah, relatable to many, I'm sure, because there's so many things that I've said this so many times on the podcast, like that are just the corporate way, right? Those things that you hear people say, and you're like, "Ooh, that gave me the chills," thinking
yeah.
back to corporate, those buzzwords and the things that happen so regularly that you're like, "Ugh, I don't miss that," right?
Yeah, it's the things
So,
that immediately make you roll your eyes. We were like, God, I forgot that was part of my life. And
yeah.
some of which I like it was just the way things were, right? Like it wasn't
Hmm.
for me, like the team building stuff, like sometimes it's fun, like that's cool, it's culture, we're having a good time or whatever. But now looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that was a real thing that we went through there, that I think it's going to be kind of fun to relive. So let's get into it, Mandy. Let's start off with the most ridiculous corporate policies. This is one where I don't think that we really had crazy corporate policies that were ridiculous, or at least not any that come
Yeah,
top
no,
of
not any
mind.
that really come to mind. I think that if you really thought through it, there would be some that you're like, other people might think this is crazy, right? But it was
Yeah.
just so normal to us. We don't know for sure, but we did go to Reddit for this one because wild things that these companies say. Let's go with this is a kind of easy one. Have to say the customer's name 3 times in an interaction. Could have a perfect interaction, but if you don't say their name 3 times, you get a lecture.
What is the purpose in that?
I think that you're supposed to be engaging and you're supposed to be making them feel special in some way, but like
Okay, so we're
why
talking
three
about
times?
right, we're talking about like with a
Customer service
client,
or
with a
something.
customer, like okay, that kind of makes sense. You can like level with them, make them feel like this is really personal and that they know exactly who they're dealing with and it's not a blanket response, etc. That kind of makes sense, but in my brain when you said that, it sounded like it was like employee to employee, and it's like if we know it's a freaking policy, I'm just annoyed that you keep saying my name. Like how many times a day do I
Yeah,
have to hear
no.
my name?
This is to a client. This is
That
to
would
a
send me
client,
over the edge.
but like imagine that you had an excellent call with somebody, but you only said their name twice. I think that that would be enough. Like, why are we lecturing? Like,
Yeah.
this is, you have to do this. It's like, now we're just robots.
Yeah.
All right,
That
let's go to another one. One place took micromanaging to a whole other level. We had to request toilet paper from management when it got low because it was kept under lock and key, along with post-its, paper clips, and our dignity. They said.
like, did they have a theft issue? Was somebody like taking the toilet paper home?
I hope not. I mean, that's crazy to think about stealing toilet paper from your job.
I mean, I'm thinking like from a corporate perspective, like if you're in a large building with a lot of people, it's very possible that there's somebody there that like has a need. But if you have to lock up supplies because it's being taken advantage of or stolen or whatever, like you have a people problem that you need to deal
Yeah.
with. Like take care of
It
your
could also
people. Why do they need to steal toilet paper?
it could also just be a micromanaging thing. They're like, I need to
Yeah.
know when each of these things happens, and that's too controlling and you need to get a life.
Yeah, that's
All
insane.
right.
Like, I don't want to have to raise my hand and say, "Hey, boss, I got a shit. Can I have some paper?" Like, what? I'll bring a
Nobody
roll from home and put it in my purse
keep it
so
in
that I
your
don't have to talk
desk.
to you
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, that's dumb.
I wonder if anyone's done that there. I bet that they have. All right, this one says I once worked for a company where you weren't allowed to grow a beard. If you had one when you started, it was fine. But if you came in with stubble, they sent you home. So if you're like applied, you got a big old beard, they're like, you're grandfathered
You
in.
can
But
stay.
if you decide to grow one randomly while working there, that's not okay.
I want to know how that affects your job performance, and maybe that one is specific to like an industry that is not resonating with
Well,
me on
and the
how it would
thing is that
apply.
if you were not allowed to have a beard at all, right? If no one was, then maybe it's for some sort of safety reason because of the machines
Yeah.
that they use or something. But the fact that you could
But some
have
people
one
just get to
once
keep
hired,
theirs. That's like
it's so
saying
weird.
we don't accept tattoos or facial piercings, but if I hire you with one, well, you got one. Like, wait, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You're just creating
It's
problems when you have
so
a policy
weird.
like that.
It's so crazy. Okay. I worked at a small law firm many years ago. I had to call every morning, even when on vacation, to wake my boss, the owner, up every morning. It was strange because he would take the phone to the bathroom every single damn morning. Flush. I don't know what that
Okay, pause
means.
for a second. This is not exactly the same, but you and I have a standing call every single day. And sometimes when you call me, that is what wakes me up. And every single time, I take you straight to the bathroom. So I'm feeling very personally victimized by this particular problem.
This is different because if you were tasked to wake me up every
That's
morning and then
bullshit.
well, and either way, like we have a different scenario than a random boss,
Yes.
right? Like, but like the fact that I wake you up is just, I mean, like set your alarm, but that's not the end of the world.
Listen, my alarm goes off. I get my kids to school. If I go back to sleep, whatever. I just know that when Mandy calls in the morning, that's when we get like that's when all the wheels have to go, always, right? Sometimes I'm well into my day before that happens. Sometimes I am not, and you're the wake up call. But I'm always end up going to the bathroom or on the phone because if we're talking on the phone, then I'm not actively engaged on my computer in something else. So I
Yeah.
have the freedom to take my phone to the bathroom, but I don't have the freedom to take my laptop to the I mean, I guess I could, but that'd be weird.
Yeah,
Like you just get a lot of bathroom time with me. That
I do.
I can't believe that made me laugh till I cried.
You're like, hold on, are you calling me out?
I know, I was
Only
like,
a
did you
little.
do this on purpose? Rude.
No, not allowed to back into a parking spot. This also goes for visitors and contractors. You will get towed. This was a rule from the original owner, so it doesn't look like people are setting up to scram as soon as their shift is over. They kept it going as part of the family culture.
What
You can't
difference
back
does
into a
it
parking
make?
spot. People are super
God.
crazy.
That
People
is
are
wild.
super
I'm
crazy.
not one to back into a spot anyway. Like I don't trust myself like that. But if
No,
I
I don't
can
like to
pull
either.
through, if I can pull through, where
Yes.
there's like two parking spots, I will pull
Mm-hmm.
through to be able to pull directly out. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
most men that I know, and I don't know if it's like a truck thing, but down here in
It's mostly
Texas,
a
they
truck
be
thing.
yeah,
It is.
they always back in, and
Mm-hmm.
it just
Well,
makes
it's
life easier.
impossible to pull in correctly. So I don't drive Dan's truck that much
Yeah.
because like I drive my car, but sometimes when we're out, I will drive his truck and I have to back it like unless I can find a space that's like out far enough.
Yeah.
But if I have to pull into a regular parking spot, I have to back it in because otherwise I'll like pulling in this way, I'll freaking
It's
hit something.
it's
So,
wonky. Yeah.
yeah. And it's hard to pull
Weird
out. So
policy.
many it we could go well way into this, but it's a stupid rule. That's a stupid rule, and it's all for optics. And truthfully, there were so many rules that I hated in corporate that were all for optics. And they weren't out of control by any means, but it's like that's
But
actually
it was just a rule put in place because of how things could be seen or perceived,
mhm.
which is annoying.
Yes.
I
Mhm.
agree. I was actually talking to my sister-in-law while she was on her way to work the other day, and she works at a hospital, and got like really excited on the phone about finding this parking spot, and I was like, I mean, I know you work at a hospital, but like, don't you have like an employee lot? Tells me this story about how the employee lot is like so far away, and the stairs have like the grippy stuff on there, like they don't want you to fall, but they're also
Yeah.
like not a normal height. So she's like, I face plant every time because I have grippy on my shoes and I have grippy on the stairs and I fall. And she told me about a time where she face planted carrying a crock pot of chili for their like potluck or whatever, busted her crock pot, had chili all over her, still has to work a shift like that, and she till this day refuses to park in the employee lot because she's avoiding those staircases. So I'm just wondering when they're going to catch her for parking in the, preferred parking that is probably meant for patients.
Listen, she can't work if she breaks her shit on stairs. So I think
Seriously.
that she gets a pass
Well,
or
I'm
she needs
here
to learn
for
how to
it.
use the stairs.
I was here for the story time anyway, but I just thought it was really funny. It's like we put it on TikTok, and the one comment, not the one comment, but the one comment about the parking rule
Parking. Hmm.
definitely like coincided with that conversation that I had with her, and I was like, that is really freaking hysterical that you're that passionate that you're willing to like covertly go park somewhere else because you refuse to walk up that set of stairs.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of policies on parking because anything that is guest or patient or whatever facing,
Yeah.
they want them to have the best parking spots. I get it. But I mean, there are people who have to park a mile away from freaking work. That's nuts. Like,
For
that's
that. And
crazy.
even in our Roadhouse days, like if you were going to work in a store, especially on like a big holiday or like a really busy day, sometimes we had to park in neighboring parking lots or whatever. And it's like, man, by the time I find a parking spot and get over to the like I'm gonna be I was early, now I'm gonna be late because I had to go park in
Yeah.
BFE over there. But at
Absolutely.
least that's with purpose. That makes sense. So I can get past
Yeah.
that policy.
Yeah, another one, and we can make this the last one that we saw on TikTok made me kind of frustrated was that they were told that if they had an issue to take it to their supervisor and not HR. And that made me frustrated because it made me think like they're just going to try and sweep it under the rug and not let anyone know. But what do you
Yeah,
think
that
about that
doesn't
one?
sit right. Like I much prefer like the open door policy. I never enjoyed the feeling even though it was never set up this way or said to us in corporate. Like everybody had this open door policy. But if you go above your supervisor's head, it felt like insubordination in some way, right? Like why can't you go through the chain of command? However, there are some supervisors who either will invalidate whatever your concern is or maybe they're the problem or like whatever the case is, and if you only have them to go to, there's a
We're
possibility
not
that your
solving
problem's
as many
never going to be
problems. Yeah.
solved, right? And like HR can't do the job that they're actually there to do if they're not accessible. Like I can't imagine that flying in 2025 that you can't go directly to HR with all of the um employee hotlines and things like that in place. Like I can't even imagine a company having a policy like that anymore. That's insane. The
Yeah.
policies that get on my
It's nuts.
nerves are the ones that are a policy of your supervisor. It's not a corporate rule. It is not anything anybody has to deal with,
Hmm.
but I'm going to micromanage this particular area and we're going to have this added rule that's just going to be a pain in your ass. It's not going to help the company. It's not going to affect you at all. Just like this is how I prefer it. Like That's the stuff that made me crazy.
Yeah, agreed.
There is
Agreed.
a flip side that to that though. With every weird policy, there's the flip side where they try to incorporate fun in everything that you do. So I want to talk about the team building exercises and the icebreakers at every meeting that now that I'm outside of it, I see how frequent and how elaborate some of those things were. And I think for some people, they can't handle it, right? Like that's probably the worst part of being in that environment is having to, like that forced family fun, right? Like I just want to work. I just want to get my job done. I want to go home. We're wasting time with
Hmm.
all this fun that's not fun for me. And I could just get my
Yep.
work done or not be here for this. But in our experience, I I was here for it. I was here for most of it. There were
Almost
some where I was
all of
like,
it. Yeah.
are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of team building because most of the time it was just fun, right? Like I loved, let's see. I loved any time that we did anything that I was a little bit afraid of.
Yeah.
It did help the bond a little bit and sometimes with people that you would have never even thought of, right?
Yeah.
Like do you remember when we did the high ropes course in that cave?
Yes. And I was so pumped about that. I thought it was going to be so much fun. And my ass gets up on there thinking, like, oh, I'm just going to go do it. I'm not even scared, like, not scared at all. And then I got up there and I could not put one foot in front of the other. I was
Yeah, great
paralyzed,
paralysis.
paralyzed with
Yes.
fears.
That's exactly what happened to me
Couldn't do it.
too. Because and I know that I'm very afraid of heights, right? So that was not but I'm like this is fine. Like you're all roped in and you have on a harness and I wasn't worried in the least bit, but I took a team to get me through that. So Sarah
Didn't
who was
get
on our
through it.
team you didn't. Well, so
No.
here's the deal. I wouldn't have gotten through it either. So Sarah's behind me, and then someone else, I can't remember now. I can't remember who it was. And so we're all kind of on this train together. And we're going, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I can't literally make my legs do this. And so we call down to the guy that was like on the concrete floor, you know,
Help.
and I'm like, so what happens if I can't do this, right? Because I can't also turn back because
Right.
their
Because there's people
ropes
behind
are
you.
all like
Yeah.
behind you. So you can't just like unhook and go behind people. So I'm like, how do I get out of this? And he goes, you can jump down. And I'm like, there's no way I'm jumping off of this.
Yeah. Like, that's the
And I mean,
problem. I don't want to fall.
it's like rappelling, like it'll slowly lower you down, but I'm like, I don't think there's any chance that I am jumping off of this. So I
No.
made it through the whole thing. The last thing that you had to do to leave that was a zip line. And it wasn't just a step off. It was like you had to jump off of the platform and then you fell like 4 feet and then would, go your way with a zip line. And it took them. I had no control over anything. It took Sarah and the other girl who was behind me to talk me into it to getting
Oh,
off
they
of that
didn't just
platform.
shove you off. I would have just been like, go.
No, I know, but they didn't. They didn't do that. They helped talk me into it. And I feel bad because it was a bonding experience for me and Sarah and that girl from
A
8
girl
years
that you don't
ago.
remember. I love it.
I don't
Well,
I
for
don't remember
me,
specifically.
I have no problem with the zip line. Like, I've done that a million times. Well, not a million times, but I've done that several times. I enjoy that. But for me, like when you do the zip line and you're harnessed in, I can feel that there's something holding my weight, right?
Hmm.
But when you do the high ropes course, you're harnessed in, but it doesn't,
They're
there's like
slack.
slack in
Hmm.
it. There's slack. So
Yep.
you don't feel that it's got your back
Yeah.
until you have fallen and you need it to
Yeah, until
catch
you
you.
use it.
So there's that, half second, a second and a half, however long it takes of
Hmm.
sheer terror until it catches. Like, I can't deal with that. Like, that's the reason I don't think I could ever go skydiving. I don't think I could bungee jump. Like, I watched my daughter bungee jump at 11 years old in Mexico, and I'm crying watching this. And she's having the time of her life, and I'm like, please don't die. All the while I'm like
Yeah.
videotaping it, so now I don't want to watch the
Yeah.
video because I'm the crazy person. I do love that we were given the opportunities to face fears, have new experiences, and you're right, there was a lot of bonding in that. When I wasn't able to get through it, I was my little buddy who was struggling too was Claudette Gelb, our HR Was she
Yeah,
HR? Yeah, she was our
director
people
of
partner.
HR.
She was the most incredible fun person. I love that woman, but she was just as scared as me. And we wound up, this is how we got through it. Instead of walking across the things, we sat on them. And if I could
Okay.
sit on one and then get my legs out to catch the other one and get it underneath me, and then I could let go of the one behind it and like literally scoot on our butts because it gave me control. I felt like, it wasn't as wobbly. I didn't feel like I was on such shaky ground. I'm not going anywhere. This butt's going to hold me. I'm fine. And we scooted, and I literally went across one set of the tightrope things to the other platform and like went down the emergency thing. I didn't even make it to the part that you're talking about where you couldn't get out. I diverted completely before I even got there. And this was an event we
Yeah.
were working, right? Like we were leading some of this
It
fun,
was women's
going through it
leadership.
with them. Yeah, going through it with them, but we were on the facilitator side. So I just like put myself in another role. It was like, oh, do you guys need me to refill some water over here? I don't want nothing to do with that. Y'all have fun.
I got
I'll
other
take
things to
pictures.
do. Sorry. Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, and I don't like being scared, but I do like being pushed out of my comfort zone. And so some of those things were good for me. And it was always bonding to do those things.
Yeah.
But there are things that are not bonding to me. Like, how many escape rooms did you do? That is not bonding to me. I mean,
Okay,
it can be a little bit, but
I was in charge of like doing team building for other people, and I did a lot of escape rooms because it was easy. That was the like trendy thing at the time, and
yeah.
it's relatively inexpensive. So it was like, oh, the easy button over here. And I will tell you, same thing. I did find where it was like, I don't really know that this actually did anything for us. Like we had a good time. And then some we didn't. We went to some really jankety ones that were not super fun. But we did one that I thought was really, really cool. And we did this with a group of service managers, and they went in to do the escape room, and leadership stayed outside and got to watch on camera as the staff gave you like a list of basically like competencies. Like you were looking for the natural leaders, you were looking for the people who were happy to, follow the lead and basically do the grunt work, be the bitch in the room. The people that had to divert and go work on a separate task because they don't want to do it all together. They need something that they can focus on individually. And then the people that are just like waiting to get out of here.
Yeah.
And I found that
Yeah. Letting people
I
do the
found
work
it
for
really
them.
interesting from the leadership side of things how you can use that experience. I think there's good and bad. Like if you just throw people in an escape room and have fun with it, like that is what it is. But using that as a way to observe, I mean, they didn't know that we were observing this. They didn't know that all of that was happening. And it's not like we were using that to go, you get to keep your job and you don't, but to be able to then serve them what we observed in them and see how that lined up with their own perception of themselves and who they want to be. That one was actually
Uh-huh.
really cool. The ones that sent me over the edge, we had a really, really creative boss. Like, actually, she's really, really talented at things like this. And she would come up with, I mean, she was the one in charge of the high ropes course, right? She provided some really incredible experiences
Yeah,
for
we went
us all
jetpacking
in.
that one time. You remember
Oh
that
my
where you
God, that
shot
one was
up with the water?
so cool. We had
Yeah.
some really cool experiences because
Mm-hmm.
of her. But if I had to name one toxic trait of this she who will not be named, I hope she watches this episode too. I really do. This woman wanted me to exercise more than anybody on the face of the earth. And anytime that we were on a team meeting or whatever, and there was an opportunity for some team building, she's trying to make us hike up a mountain, go through, and I'm like, it is 17 degrees outside. I don't want to go on a 2 mile hike with you. I don't want to go watch the sunset in this way. I don't want, like, this is not fun for me. This is not team building. This is making me want to poke you in the eyes. And my favorite part about that is, and while I did all those things and it was fine, whatever, it's not like she actually hurt me. The one time that she really sent me with a team building exercise, do you remember this when we were in San Diego?
Of course, I remember this when we were in San Diego.
So we're all sitting in this team meeting and it's coming to an end. And like all these like men start running in this room and they're yelling and screaming at us about packing up your stuff and get to your room. You need to be in the lobby in 5 minutes. And we're like, what is happening? Why are you screaming at
Yeah,
us? This
because they're
woman,
military.
she
Yeah,
called in the freaking Navy SEALs to come do team building with us. And fast
yeah.
forward, we get back down. We're out on the beach. We know to wear athleisure, right? But I'm in like yoga pants and a, athletic top, but in Old Navy flip-flops, and we are
I had on
running,
tennis shoes and socks. Tennis shoes and socks.
which when I tell you, we were in the water on the beach running with a log over our heads. Like, I did not sign up for the
First of all,
military, and it is for this reason.
running at that, I mean, there was probably what, like 45 of us. So,
Yeah.
like, probably half were in shape enough to even do that 1 mile run through
People
sand
threw
and
up.
water. Yes. I mean,
This is
no one
not
was in good
fun.
enough shape. And that was the easy part. That was the easy part, the running in the sand and the water in shoes that were waterlogged and weighed 200 pounds, and or you were going to twist your ankle wearing
Abandoned my
flip-flops.
I mean, have you ever tried to like run in water in like those Old Navy flip-flops? They float,
I mean,
man.
I
Like
can't
I
even
can't. I
walk
just had
in
to
the Old
abandon them. I
Navy
went
flip-flops.
barefooted. I just lost flip-flops for the day. But my favorite part of this whole thing is that while we did all these different activities and we had like the obstacle course kind of thing at the end, and like there were some people throwing up. We had a pregnant girl that was like, I get to take a pass on this one.
Yeah.
And we're all pissed off, like, why do you think you don't have to do
Well,
this?
hold on. If we're going to tell the story, let's just tell the story. So the first thing
Okay,
that
let's go.
happens is we run, okay? Because I need you guys to see the picture here. It's the wildest team building thing ever. So
I
we
have
run for a
pictures. We can
mile
put them
through the
in.
water. Yeah, we will. And then we had to all link arms. And like I said, there's probably 45 of us, and we're all different sizes and shapes and all that stuff. So we all just link arms with the people next to us. We make one big line. We sit down in the water. Okay. So it's October in the Pacific Ocean, which is the Pacific Ocean is never warm. And we're
Right.
fully clothed, and it's probably a 70-degree day. I mean, it's not like it's San Diego. It's nice outside, but you shouldn't be in the water. We have to sit down in the water, all linked arms, and we have to do sit-ups in the surf. All right. They were
No,
doing
we were
this to
holding
teach
that
us.
log.
No, not until the end.
Oh,
So
okay.
we just had to do that. They're doing that to teach us that it's helpful to be with people around the same size as you when you do that, because as someone who is smaller than the 6'4" tall man next to me,
Yeah.
it takes him longer to get up. So I am just like drowning
Trapped. Yeah.
with the. And so anyway, so we did that. Then we did calisthenics. And if you don't know what calisthenics are, they are sit-ups and push-ups and burpees and all this stuff in the
In
sand, right?
sand.
In sand. And then you can't stop. Like if somebody stops, because we are not in shape. Okay. Like keep in mind, like we're not in shape. So if someone stops, then we start over. And so that lasted a really fucking long
Forever.
time.
Yeah.
Yes. So then after that, we did an obstacle course, which was actually really fun. And that was the team building. If
That
that's what
one
we
was
had done for the
fun.
day,
Yeah.
because it was like some of these things were hard. Like there were like telephone poles. I mean, they're not as big as an actual telephone pole, but like it was almost impossible for anybody to turn this phone pole, put it up, and then put it back down.
Yeah.
But there was stuff like you had to crawl underneath the like army crawl
And we
underneath
got to
the
pick the person on the team to do
mesh.
each of those things. So it was
Yes,
like playing into your strengths.
right. But everyone had to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we would help our team get the stuff done that they couldn't physically do on their own. And I loved that part of the day. That is team building to me. But the absolute torture, just the absolute torture of the calisthenics specifically, was too much for me, and the sit-ups in the water. So the last thing that we did is they matched us with people that were around our height. And I know you can't see while we're sitting here, but Mandy's very short and I'm a little bit taller. So I'm
So
not
I'm
with her, but
almost
she
five
is.
two. How tall are you?
I'm 5'7", but we just never were going to
So
be
there's
on
a
the
5 inch
same,
apart. Yeah. No, we weren't
Yes.
going to be together.
So she's with everyone else on our team, because I was just like a giant above our whole team. Jen, you, Amanda, Macy, Sarah, all short.
Yeah.
So Macy wasn't as short. So basically, they line us up with 4 other people who are the same size as us, and we get a log. Okay, and it was a big log, and we had to hold it above our head. Okay, and then they had us marching down the beach, all holding this
In the
log
water.
together
Not in the
in the
sand. We
water.
were in the water with the waves crashing into us, trying to hold this big log above our
Right.
head.
And they're like, okay, down on your shoulder. And so you'd put it on your left, and you had to work together to do that, right? So you're like 1, 2, 3 down, and then 1, 2, 3 up, and then whatever. And it's heavy. And so that would have been enough. But no. So then we have to go and we have to sit down in the water with our other four people in our log, and we have to hold the log right here, okay? And then we have to do sit-ups again. So yeah, we're with people that are our size,
This is
but
my favorite
we're
part of the
still
day.
being drowned. I know this is the best part of the day. So you tell them about
It is the best
your
part.
situation in the
And
water.
so she, who must not be named, is about, well, she's actually shorter than me, I think. We're
Hmm.
somewhere around the same height. And Sarah, like
Hmm.
you said, and Amanda, that's the four of
Hmm.
us on the log. At least I think.
Hmm.
I think Amanda was on the log with us.
I think she was
And
too.
so we're sitting in the water with the waves like crashing into our faces, holding this big log, and we have to do sit ups and come back up. Well, you have to time that all together, right? So Sarah and I look at each other and we all hate this woman at this point. Like, I cannot believe we are having to do this. We're like an hour and a half into this situation
Yeah, it
at this
was a
point.
long
This was a
process.
long one, and I'm exhausted, but also like having fun with it because as we're doing these sit ups and our boss is there and she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was going to be like this. And Sarah and I look at each other and we're like, okay, when we go back the next time, hold your breath. We're not coming back up. And so we have
Hmm.
this log and we go down and Jen's trying to sit up and the waves are crashing in our face. No, we're cracking up. And we finally sit up and she's like, I hate you. And we're like, we hate you. Like, why'd you do this to us? Like, it made the whole day worth it. And of course, our regional leader at the time, who just so happens to be the company's CEO now, which is kind of awesome, he was all about it. Like, thought that was the most incredible thing ever because he's very much in shape, loves all things physical activity. And I'm like, how can you, like, why? Why is this okay that you literally just tortured us for 2 hours? It made for great stories after the fact, and I feel 100% redeemed because I got to make this woman swallow a shit ton of the Pacific Ocean because she deserved it.
Oh man.
We really did have some great
Was
experiences though.
Yeah, the that team building experience was good but scary and really hard, and it missed the mark a little bit for me because it felt just torturous. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
think we
because
could
it
have
was
gone at
too
half
hard.
speed on that. Yeah,
Yeah, and
but
I can do marketing without being in shape, and I don't need to be trained by Navy SEALs
yeah, yeah, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and so many
for
of the
sure.
ones that we had for team building were, but I would never do that again. There are some of the things that we did that I would do again and that actually helped, but I think so many people, so many companies don't use their budget for team building, and then
Yeah.
they just make it super where everyone is miserable by the end, and
Yeah.
they've all bonded over this common enemy of either the company or the boss or
Can't
and
relate. Weird.
no, but I think that yeah, some of those experiences are just so corporate, so
So corporate
crazy.
for sure. If you and I
Hmm.
do some sort of, you know what, we do team building all the time, but like team building to me is like double fisting. Here we go. Like we're having a good time, right? Like we
Right.
do things
Yeah.
as friends. We do not need to have structured, like, don't take me to an escape room because I'm going to tell you
No.
to fuck off so fast. Although I do love an escape room. However, okay, so as we're talking about these, to me, all of these things that we're talking about are things that if you don't laugh, you're going to cry, right? Because that's the way that day felt like to me. Like you have to
Yeah.
find some joy in it or you're not gonna make it. Let's talk about the emails of it all though, because if there was anything that was ever going to send me, sometimes it was the emails, whether they were ludicrous, poorly timed, or just maybe you shouldn't have received them. Email
Yeah.
is a big part of
I
our
think
world.
that the biggest thing that would always send me, so in our job, and I mean, even in the way that I do my job now, like I'll have something going on and then I get out of something and I have 100 emails. Like that would stress me out to no other. So the people who would reply all, that made me crazy. The reply all. And I know that that's super, like, that's just standard. I think everyone hates that. But, like, that's something that would make me nuts because I would have to go through and see if I needed any of that. And
Mhm.
it wasted my time and it just made me mad.
Yeah, unless there is a really, really valuable piece of information that everyone needs to see and hear, that cannot, this is a meeting. If you're replying all this many times, this is a meeting. Let's just hash it out for 20 minutes and be done. That
Yeah.
really got on my nerves. And I still deal with the reply all issue sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that, like, you don't need to reply all to say, thanks, Mandy. Not everybody needs to
Hmm.
see that you said thank you. That's,
Yeah.
that's
But I think that
ridiculous.
that's some of it is so performative. Like people want to make sure that somebody over here saw that they
Yeah.
responded.
Which is,
And
but
that
that's
makes
that's the
me
thing. That's the
crazy.
corporate aspect of it all. Like if you are responding for it to be noticed that you responded, that's like you're
Hmm.
missing it there. For me
Hmm.
though, with the emails, what I love the most is when you get forwarded threads, like where you're not in the chain, you're not in the reply all for the whole thing, and then you get forwarded
Until
a
now,
long
now it's your turn
string.
to be looped in.
Yeah, now I'm getting looped in. So I go all the way back and read the chain to fully understand and roll across some information I shouldn't have been privy to, like someone else's salary.
Yeah.
That, and I'll be honest, that particular instance, I don't even think that was an email that I received, but it had such an impact when that mistake was made that an entire department of people were up in arms because, there's such a weird stigma around secrecy in what you're paid that
We need to do a whole episode with
100%.
handling pay in general because like that situation that happened where you find out what somebody makes and then you realize that a whole department of people is making a lot more than your whole department of people, that's really
Hmm.
hard to stomach, right, when you do a very similar job. So that was really hard, but the not being able to talk about it and getting in trouble for talking about it, like that's so standard across the board in corporate. They do not want you to talk about your salary because then they have to face that they might have to pay someone more or that someone's going to leave because they feel undervalued. And
Yeah.
so any kind of salary talk in email, avoid it.
Yeah, the concept about salary conversations being taboo. I feel like in 2025 that's starting to shift. People are expecting more transparency, and this new generation of people are like, no, no, we're going to talk about it. But for my entire career has always been, it is unprofessional to discuss what you make with your
Mm-hmm.
peers and other people. Like even on our team, we were all really like really close friends, but I don't know that we shared numbers. We shared numbers in the way of, I got a raise and it was X percent, as far as that went, but I don't know that we ever compared notes on
Yeah,
that
it was,
just
I
because it was
definitely didn't
like,
want to know. Yeah, I definitely
right,
didn't
I
want to
don't want to be
know.
pissed off and I don't want to be upset that
No.
you make what you make when I know that you deserve what you make, but I don't want my
Yeah.
self-worth to be tied into comparing myself to you. And I think that's really the stigma
Yeah.
around
And
it,
your
like from
salary
corporate.
negotiation, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that I'm better than you or you're better than me. It's that one of us was better at negotiating a salary, probably, because
right.
they
From
didn't
the
they
from the
didn't just offer one of us more, you know.
yeah. Yeah, these emails can be wild, but I think the thing about the emails, less about, those are one off situations where somebody screwed up and sent information they shouldn't have. The thing about these emails is for me, it's not just about like the things that shouldn't have been said or, accidental sharing of information. It's the passive aggressive phrases that get used that it's like corporate kindness, right? And I think that is like it's the part that you have to laugh about because otherwise it makes you want to beat your head against a wall.
Yeah.
So I want to share some. I'm curious to hear from you. Let's each share our five, we'll call it favorites, and you can tell why it's your favorite corporate, passive aggressive, corporate kindness phrases for email.
Oh,
My first one is let's table this for now. Why don't you just directly tell me, but we're never going to talk about this again? You don't actually care about what I just said.
yeah. They want to move on.
Right. The next one is I'll take that under consideration. It kind of goes into that same tone. Like I'm absolutely ignoring your suggestion because I don't agree with you.
Yeah, the I'll take that under consideration is a you shouldn't have even said that to me in the first place. Like no one's taking anything into consideration,
Yeah,
right?
and even if you are, like, I feel like if you're actually considering what I sent to you, there's probably more that's going to come from that. Like, that's interesting. Tell me more. I like this idea. Let's see where we can take it. But just to say, I'll take this into consideration, basically, like that stops the conversation. It means you're not considering it. because I know that what I sent to you wasn't enough for you to just be like, okay, full thought, that's done. Nope. Mm-mm. You're just
Yeah.
being an ass.
Nope, just don't say anything.
My next one is just circling back. And that one I think I'm like guilty of. It's like, bitch, I know you saw the email that I sent to you and you haven't read or responded. Like, what's happening? I'm circling back on this. But it is very like a corporate language, screw you, check my damn email and do your job.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the most commonly used. And I truthfully, I hear it on podcasts. I hear it in so many. They're like, hold on, let's circle back.
Yeah.
So it can be
Yeah,
used
it's
in
so
other
widely
ways,
used.
but yeah, but it is used a lot on emails. Like, please check.
In the same vein, my next one is not sure if you saw my last message. Like, do you check your email? Are you ghosting me for funsies? I'm still waiting on a response here. And then lastly is moving forward, dot, dot, dot. Like, basically, that means don't ever do that again. What are you doing? Don't do that again.
Yeah. So moving forward is on my list too. It's huge for me. It's like, listen, there are a lot of things that went wrong in this scenario. Moving forward, if we could do it like this, right? Like we're setting a boundary. I like boundaries. My next one
Well,
is maybe,
we need to be better at
huh?
that. Yeah. I said we need to be better at
Yes.
that. So it's okay.
Yes, it's good. My next one is maybe I'm misunderstanding you. And I think that I use this a lot, right? It's like I'm not trying to be dumb, but
Yeah.
I
Am I dense or are you
I
not communicating clearly
yes,
enough?
communicating.
Yeah.
All right. So then there's the other very popular per my last email, right? We're circling back
Yeah.
again. I hate when people don't answer emails. And to go along with that, what's a passive aggressive thing that you would use for why didn't you read my entire email? We had a big problem with that in corporate. People would
Yeah.
take your big email and they would answer one of the questions, and it's like, that's
As
a
I
passive
said in my
aggressive way.
previous email,
Yes, as I said
like,
in my previous email, that's the one.
yeah, like if you read the whole thing, I answered your freaking question in the last email. Like, read the whole thing, take it all in, and then ask your
Yeah,
questions.
come back.
Ugh.
My next one is thanks for bringing that to my attention. I'm not thankful. I know
Yeah.
everything that's going on. I know what's
Basically, I already
happening
knew
here.
and I didn't want to address it. And now you put me in a position where I have to, and I don't like it.
No.
Goodness.
And then this is my very favorite one, and I think that I used this a lot, was let's not reinvent the wheel.
Okay, but we were in a job where everybody trying to reinvent the wheel, like creating
Designing
systems
their
and all
own
like,
marketing
oh my
materials and
God,
yeah.
like the resources are here for you. The structure is
Yeah.
already done. You're spending time trying to be creative to create something that's already out there for you. Just use it. So frustrating. Yes, we spent a lot of time saying that, but now looking back, it like kind of gives me that little, gives me a little bit of a tick
Yeah.
because
Have I ever said that to you? I don't know if I've ever said it to you in this business.
I don't think so, but I don't think that you or I, either one, really spend a lot of time recreating the wheel. I am one that gets stuck in a cycle of like trying to make a system better. Like if there's something that slows us down or a process that it works, but it's clunky, like I will spend time to perfect that. And sometimes I think you
Yeah,
want to
that
stop me from
doesn't.
that going, hey, let's shift your focus over here. But it's
Well,
never
sometimes something else needs to happen before that
right.
happens,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like
about
something needs to be
priority.
taken care of, but it's definitely not like I will sit in the hard,
Yeah.
not fix a process because I don't want to take the time right now to do it, and I'm glad that you do that. So I don't for a
Yeah.
second have any feelings about that. I'm glad that you do that. That's
We
not
don't
reinventing the
recreate
wheel. That's
We don't recreate the
that's
wheel a
making the
lot.
wheels less squeaky to
Yeah,
me.
a little WD-40 never
So,
hurt nobody. Okay, so
yeah.
we talked about code words and I say code words, it's the passive aggressive phrases, but also speaking of words in corporate that can just make my skin crawl are all the buzzwords. The things like how many meetings
Mhm.
did we sit through and talk about the synergy of our team?
Mhm.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand what the word synergy means and I understand why it's overhyped. I understand why we want that. But if I hear the word synergy one more time,
I have a hard time with some things that were just like super corporate things. I hear them in networking meetings still.
yeah,
People bring these into their life, but so many things were specific to our job as well.
yeah.
And so
Well,
my
because we
favorites,
created our own buzzwords.
yeah. There were so many. So there were so many buzzwords that were very, yeah, specific. One of them was game changer. It wasn't specific because that is
Yeah.
something that a lot of people use, but it was so overused to me. Game changer. Another one, low hanging fruit. When you work in
I will
anything
end
where
this
you
call
need to,
right now if we have to talk about low-hanging fruit because
we
that
don't.
one
We don't. We're moving on. We're moving on. How about touch base? Let's touch base.
can we just follow
Does
up?
that give you
Can we
any
just
feelings?
yeah, no, I'm just like why does it have to I don't know, like why can't we just talk in a normal language and vernacular? Like why do we have to create these weird ass phrases like moving the needle?
Yeah,
Can we just make progress?
that's on my list too. Moving the needle.
Let's just
There
make
was
some
so much
progress.
moving the
Let's
needle.
get
Yeah,
somewhere.
nope. But you have to talk
I
corporate if
can't.
you're going to be in corporate. How about this one? Pivot.
Pivot. Are you Ross now? I
No,
love
but we
that.
did. They were always like, we have to pivot.
I'm gonna pivot, okay, just a little bit because
Okay.
these are all normal buzzwords, but I'm sure that everyone else that's listening in their own world, you pick up on things that specific people say at work, right? That really just start to get under your skin. And we've had a few of them. I'm sure that in your brain, you're probably thinking of a couple right now. I'm gonna throw one out there that started to get on my, and there's nothing wrong with it, okay? Like, I'm not picking anybody apart, but things where you're like, oh my God, if she says it one more time, I can't. We had a leader that when and if a call would end early, she would say, okay, I'm gonna, congratulations, I'm gonna
I'm
give you
just going to
back
give
10
you
minutes
15 minutes back in your day.
back in
Oh
your
my
day.
gosh.
Like, you're not giving me time back. Like, what does that even mean? Stop
Yes.
saying that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's so hard. Yeah. Well, can I bring up another leader and the way that she pronounced one of the words that
I
drove
know
us
exactly
crazy?
what you're gonna say.
Is it, and we'll put a poll
Let's do a poll.
on
Yes, perfect.
Spotify. Yeah. Is it processes or processes?
Processes. It's probably correct, right? But I have
It might be
never, like,
correct.
in my 42 years, I don't think I've heard another human use that word. And this particular leader used it all the time as though it was just normal. And we're like, what
Yeah.
processes? Like,
There were so many processes within the job, right? And within this business and whatever, and I've just never heard it say processes.
I would just restructure my
And
sentence
so
and call them systems. It's not
yes, to
hard.
not say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so we'll put a poll on
Oh
Spotify
gosh.
and we'll find out. We'll find out if it's how you say it.
I had another leader that I worked with that anytime that you would ask like a profound question, right? Like something that would generally require some thought from that individual, he would start with, well, here's the thing every
Here's the
time.
thing.
Well, here's the thing. I can't even focus on what your actual response is because you've just wrapped it in this like hysterical format for me that my brain can't get around. Any other crazy ones you can think of? Not that any of them are really crazy. It's just like getting hung up
No,
on people's go-to phrases.
nothing's crazy. Ooh, people first. People first company.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
it
one's
was
tough
said,
for me.
yeah, it was said
That
a
one's
lot.
tough. I like it. I like the concept of being people first, but I also think that when you are leadership in corporate and you are claiming to be people first, sometimes that statement means something to the people that you don't mean for it to. And so then later on, based on my definition of what people first means, you've put yourself in a position for me to feel like you let me down when it was never your intention, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
it's just
think
a
that
big
if you're going to
statement and it
say,
can be
yeah,
overused.
yeah, and I think that if you're going to
Yeah.
say you're people first, you need to define what does that mean to your company?
Hmm.
Because what that means to me
Yeah.
and what that means when you say it might not be aligned. And I think a lot of people end up feeling that way just in
Yeah,
general.
I'll do my last one. Action item. How's that make you feel?
Yeah.
An action item. Yeah, so there were so many buzzwords and everyone's going to have their ones
Hmm.
that they're a little bit triggered by, but I love this conversation. I love, like just the things that kind of drove us a little bit crazy about corporate
Yeah.
and
But I like looking back on it with the humor, with the lens of humor. Like we really, as much as some of those things really get on your nerves, like it was still fun. It gave us something to laugh about, you know? Otherwise, it'd just been boring.
Yeah. It was never boring.
No,
Never, never.
that's for sure. That is for sure.
No.
There's too much going on for boredom.
Yeah.
Well, I
All
had a
right.
ton of fun in this conversation. I hope that our listeners get a good laugh too and can commiserate. But I am very interested to hear the results of this poll. Is it processes or processes?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay. Well, thank you. I have fun
All
talking to
right.
you.
We'll
All
see you
right.
next week, Mandy.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.